The end is here. Can you believe it? We are at the end of another year, 2024, and I'm excited today because I've got my astrology expert, Chiron Yeng, in the house, and we're going to dive into December. So, hey, welcome, Chiron.
Hey, what is up? But is it really the end or is it a new beginning?
Ooh, good question on the beginning of this podcast. Hey, let's question that. I think it's a new beginning. So, but that's just me and my thoughts, right?
Well, it's a new beginning always, and it really depends how we see it, right? I like to see things on a positive side to really proactively take, action in a sense where how can I show up it rather than um being a victim of energies, right? I think energies are there to support us, and we get to choose how we want to move it.
I'll say a big hells yeah to that. And so as we move into this episode, this is our first of the month episode of every single month that we come on and share. Just a couple things to keep in mind is I'll be sharing about an energy calendar that comes out every month that Tom and I support, and we actually share on our website, as well as from the Wayshores College. They're the ones that create it. So I'll be sharing about the energies, and I will also have that PDF in the show notes. So if you wanted to download that PDF and use it as we go through this episode, definitely feel free to do that. Chiron's going to be sharing about the astrological perspective and what's going on in the cosmos and how those energies are influencing us. And then the both of us come together without knowing what's going on either side. Chiron doesn't know the calendar. I don't know what's going on astrologically. We come together and we just see what's kind of going on and how these two influences come together. And sometimes it like blows us away, right, Chiron?
Yeah, completely. I think it's just so nice to see how interconnected energies are. So it doesn't matter what modalities, what, it's coming from. I'll say that each different ways of looking into energy is just different lens and looking at it. But, all roads lead to home, and eventually, it's about, again, the practical side of things. How can we best utilize this time to make the best use of our actions and energy so that it supports us to create the outcomes that we want to create?
Absolutely. And I love the way you said that about different modalities, because there is so many things out there in the world. And so I resonate with astrology, and I resonate with this calendar that I've been working with for about 7 years now. So it's really finding what works for you as a listener out there in the world. So this is just our perspective from the two things that we love so much and that we are working with. So before we get started, I want to go back into November's energy and just regroup a little bit about the things that we experienced last month. So last month's energy was called involved. That was the key word. And so, Chiron, would you like to share a little bit about the overall, energy and how you moved through November and the things you noticed?
Well, it's Scorpio season first and foremost, and Scorpio is really about transformation. And for us to have transformation, we got to be really involved with what we're doing, right? It's a fixed sign in the water sign, and it's really intense in the sense that we need to look into our shadows to see our limitations at the things that we sweep under the rug so that we can really release those things for new things to come in. I could definitely say that I've confronted a lot of my own limitations and griefs, hurt of the past in my family and my workspace, and as well as my health. And what I realized is that when I moved through it with the place of love, presence, community, and connection, at the same time owning my power and not to be so caught up by circumstances of my environment or my external environment, to make sure that my future desire is stronger than my current circumstances, to move through that like a North Star. It really helped me through a lot of things. And also because of that, taking risks, a lot of insights show up and I acted upon it right away, but many doors open up after that. How about you, Teresa? What has happened for you?
Well, so for me, of course, November was the election, and I was also in my new position at work where I'm working at a beautiful architectural firm in Des Moines. So I was very involved in learning more aspects around, the new job, because it's all new for me in counting and things like that. So, and then moving through the energies of being involved in that, as well as what's going on politically, and then for myself, like my beliefs and the things I notice other people experiencing. And as many of you guys know on this podcast, is I'm a very sensitive person, so I feel when people are in mourning, I feel when people are in celebration. So it was really there were a few times, especially that first week, where I was very challenged with what I was feeling inside and how I was either not expressing it or it was bubbling up inside. So I too, with the Scorpio season, I definitely dived into some grief and some mourning around, maybe not speaking my truth sometimes, and then feeling what everyone else is going through. So it was very interesting, but also very profound, because I was able to go to a deeper level of who I am and my authenticity. And I want to say it also stems too with the Mars thing that was going on last month, and how, I'm having that Mars going over my Mars,
Oh
and
yeah.
Mercury. Remember
Yeah.
the 3 times it goes
It's
back and
gonna come
forth. And
back.
so,
Yeah, exactly.
oh, Chiron, I swear I was like, the week that it hit, I was like, ooh, I'm like, am I speaking my truth and my authenticity? And it was freaking on. So a
Yeah.
very interesting energy month for sure.
Yeah, Mars is really about, reasserting some form of a new identity, right? So, and it's opposing Pluto. So, a lot of us are like, we don't know who we are anymore. We have some form of identity crisis, and something needs to happen emotionally for us to dig deep. Is that really who we are? Is our ideology who we are? Is our beliefs, is our opinions and judgments and comments who we are? Or are we something deeper than that, that is interconnected to something bigger, right? So Mars Pluto transits in general are usually quite cathartic. On top of that, Sun was on Scorpio and was opposing things like Uranus. So it's like fireworks, and we are constantly being put in a place of pressure, like a pressure cooker, but in a different. I think a better metaphor for Uranus and Mars is mainly speed. So it's more like a steam engine that just like propels you forward, and you don't really have that time to just sit down and sit back and really like, okay, can I integrate now? Not really. It
Right.
means that you gotta think quick on your feet and then move through it, and then because doors are opening and we don't really have time to integrate, and the energies that is showing is not that. It's really on the outside. So a lot of us are impatient and reactive for sure.
And there was also one other thing I want to bring up before we move into the energies of December, is that what planet moved into Aquarius?
Pluto.
Pluto. Okay, I swear. And it was like the 20th, 21st, right? Around that time frame.
Yeah, a couple days ago from when we're recording
Man,
this. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Chiron, I felt it. And people around me too, who aren't like, really aware, they were feeling weird too. Like there was a big shift energetically.
Well, here's why. Pluto has been moving back and forth Aquarius and Capricorn for a couple times since the last 1, 2, 3 years. I don't remember the time span, but basically, Pluto is never gonna go back to Capricorn anymore. We are completely moving forward from that era, and we're stepping into the Aquarian era that's gonna be here for the next 20 years. And basically, it's gonna dig out a lot of like our relationship with technology and our relationship with our higher mind, and to expose those shadows, limitations, and so that we can really come back to the truth of the matter, right? It's not all about progress and technology and this kind of stuff. Is not our savior. So Pluto coming in is going to expose things like our sciences, our pharmaceutical company, our food company, anything that related to tech will show some level of like limitation. And even the whole conversation that are we going to go to Mars and this kind of stuff, and will be during this era, like space exploration and this kind of stuff, or even what I call space pollution with all the satellites that we have. It's it's a thing now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, all I know is I felt it in a big way, and I was like, holy cow, we're on.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah, and we're birthing a whole new generations that's going to have 20 years of Pluto in this sign. So it's a big thing for souls coming into Earth.
Right. Absolutely. So that was November. And so all of you listeners out there, just take, if you want to take a moment and just, reflect back onto your month of November. How did it work for you? Where were you at? Things you went through, and then now we will move into the new month of December 2024. So moving into December, I guess I'll start with the keyword. Is that good?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So the keyword of December is the word of rejoice.
I love it. Love
So
it
I
already.
looked up the definition, which I like to always know what's the because I have a feeling for rejoice, right? But what's the definition? It's to feel or show great joy or delight. The key words for December are afresh, playful, unfetter, peace, and equanimity.
Ah, that's an interesting word for rejoice.
Equanimity.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So that's a big word, rejoice. And as soon as I felt into it and I got the key word was like a respite, like and time for just kind of like really enjoying the end of this year. So
Yeah. Right away for me, just without looking into the astrology, it's the word celebration. And celebration is something that is not just a spirit of, festivity. Celebration to me itself is like a respect for life because we got a life. and the attention, paying our attention to things like simple joy and being in good company, to really go back to the basic human experience of human connection without our ideology and beliefs, and really come into that human connection, the human touch that's really, really, really missing in our society these days. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, but I think we are really lacking that spirit of like seeing the optimism of life. And a lot of us are so scared, and there's so much fear mongering news going on, and we don't know which to believe anymore. And this is very common when Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini, right? False news, false information, ideological war, and difference in opinions. But the positive side to that is international networking, expanding your knowledge, expanding your wisdom, traveling, and expose yourself to different culture, and really just see that despite what the news are saying, there's actually a lot of things to be happy about on Earth.
I
We just have
love
to
that.
open our
And
eyes and travel and actually see it for your own eyes.
right, exactly. And the word that comes up too, it's interesting because I was watching this podcast the other day about there was a company that creates electrolytes. And so there was some controversy about them saying that everything was natural and then there was a little bit of sugar in it. Okay. So people went ballistic. I mean, ballistic. And the thing about this, they came down to the reality of the big key that people were so upset about is the lack of transparency.
Mm.
So, and it comes kind of back to that thing where like people right now are to the point of, yeah, what's real? Who's telling me the truth? And people were just pissed because of the lack of transparency. And the owner of the company came on and really explained what happened. It was understandable. He worked with a company that, sometimes you don't know how they process things. And so, but the lack of transparency I thought was so fascinating because I think that's where we're all at right now, especially with the last few years.
And it's gonna be more so with Pluto entering Aquarius, right? And with Mars opposing Pluto right now, this is why people go ballistic, because they feel disempowered, they feel cheated, they feel betrayed. And this is the very common experience of Mars Pluto, right? And Mars is gonna go, like I say, back and forth 3 times in this area of late Cancer, early Leo, and opposing Pluto again and again and again, reminding us not to stay silent and not to be a victim of our environment, but to step up and step in, to own our power, not to fight these things, but to rejoice. I remember going to the White Lions territory, and I want to talk about this because this is so important. And kudos to Linda Tucker, who is such an amazing human being who basically saved White Lions and dedicated her life, her mission to protect these regal beings, to return them to the rightful land, right? And yeah, I wouldn't go too deep into like what's going on with the White Lions and the whole history and story there. But the point is that Maria Cosa, the lion shaman, I read it in Linda's book, right? Mysteries of the White Lion, Children of the Sun God. Linda asked her, "How do you fight so much darkness in the world?" And Maria Cosa said, "Celebrate, celebrate."
Oh, wow. That's a big one. Celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was there in South Africa, yeah, in Timbavati, part of her work is to educate children of the laws of nature, or what the lions are teaching, and part of their education is to celebrate, to dance and sing with music, to come through the streets with performance and celebrate the lion, celebrate nature. Because I truly believe if someone who's energetically sensitive, right, celebration gets to shift a lot of things. But that doesn't mean it's only all about happiness. We can celebrate grief. We can celebrate anger. We can celebrate the totality of our human experience, and this is where equanimity come in, right?
Perfect. Oh, what a segue into equanimity.
And celebration is basically acceptance on a very fundamental way, but not just accepting for it is, but really truly being grateful for this experience. And the more we get in touch with our shadows as a collective, the more we shine our light on it, a lot of things can be liberated and the truth shall set us free. And it's perfect because we are in the Sagittarius season.
Beautiful. And for myself personally, I have been really in a mode of being so present that I like look at the sky. I like really embrace, and I'm so honored to be in a position where I'm learning, I'm experiencing, I'm spiritually expanding in a different realm than I've been doing the last few years. So I'm loving this keyword of rejoice, and I'm actually feeling the energy is going to be really powerful for the ending the year and moving into the new year. So let's talk a little bit about some of the transits coming up, Chiron. I know there's probably a few of them.
Yes, and I would definitely like to quote someone right now before I begin that. And his name is Buckminster Fuller. He says something along the lines that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete, right?
Love it.
Powerful means focus on your creation, celebrate it rather than trying to fix those problems, right? For another example, focus on conditions of healthcare rather than focusing on sick care. That this is all about getting rid of your symptoms, right? Focus on a mission and a purpose that's going to deliver your gift into the world, and rather than trying to fight all this evil that we think that it's around. These are just examples, and the reason why I'm bringing this up and linking that to December is because we have a new moon on December 1st. Sagittarius new moon. And Sagittarius has this optimistic energy that is really about what is my purpose here on earth? What is my greater meaning? What is my higher self asking me to be and do? And being in a place of service with the gifts that we are bestowed with by the universe, right? I like to see Sagittarian as that kind of energy. And this is why these people, usually if you're Sagittarius, happy birthday, by the way, you will move through boundaries, you will connect, and the sky's the limit. You'll find ways to make things work. And this is why I love Sagittarian, in the sense that they will make the best out of the shitty times. Yeah, but too much too soon, and going to the imbalanced way, we can feel Sagittarian a bit aloof and feeling like we don't want to care anymore and we just want to do our stuff. So it's very good to beware of, like, this is in any sign, by the way, but the awareness that we need to have with Sagittarius is that we don't want to overdo anything, hence equanimity.
Interesting. And so beginning the month of December, the 1st to the 4th, we're in what we call friendship energy.
Ah, beautiful.
Sense of belonging, feeling of appreciation, helping others through actions, coming together. It's an uplifting feeling for sure. And an energy, I should say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it squares Saturn, it opposes Jupiter, and then there's some level of community work that needs to be done, that we are thinking about our future, which is Sagittarius, that is in relation to the issues and the problems that's going on around us. I think that keeps things grounded, right? To use your gift to serve a bigger purpose rather than making it all about you.
Yeah. And I think that's the part when especially the last month with what we've gone through in the United States, is that to get to that point where it's a bigger, like I'm here for a purpose beyond what everyone else is trying to pull me into. And so really celebrating why are we all here at this moment, and what we're, our piece of the puzzle is so important.
Completely. Yeah. And then the energy, starts shifting again in December 5th, 6th, and 7th with a series of like major transits, right? We have a Sun Mercury conjunction on December 5th. Then Mars goes retrograde on December 6th. Then there's a Sun Jupiter conjunction Sun Jupiter opposition on December 7th, right? Okay, what do they all mean? With Sun Mercury conjunction, we can feel like there's a revelation coming through, like maybe a sense of like what 2025 might look like for you, and maybe you have ideas and plans that you want to act upon. This is the time to think about. I wouldn't wait for 2025 to start thinking about 2025, because now is the time. But this is time to let go everything and anything that doesn't serve you anymore, and really start bringing in the new things. With Sagittarius season, it's so celebrative, right? I think one of the most powerful questions we can ask ourselves is like, what makes us fully alive, and what is the path of our greatest excitement? And to follow that again and again and again to the next moment, even if you don't know what you're supposed to do in your life, just ask yourself, what's exciting right now?
Wow, that's a powerful time. And the 5th through the 10th, we have energy of called regrouping. So it's like a time of consolidating. It's a time of reflection, gaining insights, and learning from what experiences you are currently involved in and what you've just like kind of been through.
Exactly. And Mars retrograde, right? It's Mars represents our willpower, our ability to take action. It's going to pause. We're going to be like, wait a minute, is this the right direction? Is this collaboration the right thing? Is this thing that I'm going, this place that I'm going to, the right place that I want to be? There's some level of like pause and hesitation and doubt, right? Healthy doubt. And Sun opposed Jupiter is also doubt, doubting your beliefs, doubting your opinions, doubting your thing. That can be a complete shift of the way we see our world during these days, right? So I'll say, because when Mercury conjuncts the Sun, Mercury is also in retrograde. It's still in retrograde from November all the way to December, and it ends December 16. Right? So we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde as well. So expect delays, expect technological faults that needs to be repaired and reviewed, and maintenance that needs to happen. And the sign of Sagittarius is usually about, again, our sense of purpose and meaning in the world, and on what are we here for as within an individual, and of course as a collective. So there's a lot of questions happening during 5th to the 10th, like you mentioned, because astrology, it just doesn't happen on the spot. It's usually a couple of days gap. When all these big transits are coupled together, then it's a lot of energy, and we feel sometimes some level of identity crisis. Man, I believe this my whole life, and now I don't know what to do with myself.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie.
Yeah, it's an
Well, it's
eye-opener.
interesting because Tom and I are doing our intuition now, and we're calling it our holiday edition about what we're going through energetically on the 7th. So that should be a pretty powerful day to do that with that.
Oh, beautiful.
That's the Sun Jupiter opposition, right?
Exactly, because that's what we need to listen to, not our intellect, right? Because we can get confused by information, and now it's time to go deeper into our heart space to really feel what the future is, to tap into our inner compass, which is our heart, and really to connect to the bigger energy that's coming in. So the more receptive we are during those days, the more insights and revelation can come through.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Okay. So that's through the first almost week and a half. And what's after that? What's next?
December 12th.
December 12th. Okay.
We have a Venus-Mars opposition in Leo Aquarius. I think this is powerful because they are the ruling planets for the south and north node of the moon. So it's part of our evolutionary path right now until January, where the nodal axis will start going to the different sign to really wrap up the last lessons on relationships and what it means to be authentic, at the same time forming healthy attachments and sense of belonging with each other. If it's still unresolved, this is again a time of tension and polarity, and we could feel like, why is this person so different from me? Why is my value so different from my partner? And there's this revelation, and there could be a time where we can have that kind of conversation, difficult conversation of realigning expectations and needs with each other. Business,
Wow.
personal, family, everything, all relationships.
Wow. And so we're having action energy during those 4 days, 11th through the 14th.
Oh, interesting.
And action is action energy that comes in is like the fastest moving energy. It's time to be directed and moving, time to be alert, accomplishment with fulfillment, but it's definitely an energy that's a faster moving. So that should be interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's really important because I think with Venus, when it opposes Mars, that means Venus is making a conjunction with Pluto. So it can open up a lot of like shadows or things that we have taken for granted, or things that we have swept under the rug, or things that we have just not aware could come up during that time, especially when sometimes we don't know when our standards, our boundaries are being trespassed by other people. Some people take us for granted and we say, it's okay. We're just being nice, just being polite. But the thing is, this is the time when things can just explode a little bit more, because we can feel a little bit like, nah, I'm not buying that shit anymore, man. Nah, I have to speak up my truth. And people are more reactive these days, which is a good thing, because we had been so passive. We had been
Absolutely.
so like, kept under the dark, shouldn't be acting and being too careful. So with the Sagittarius energy, with all the fire energies that we have during this cycle, during this month, I think, taking the leap of faith, getting energy moving again, just sometimes clearing out things you don't need, can give you that level of like courage to move further forward.
Well, I know I'm going to be looking at my chart that day and seeing, because of course I'm a Leo sun, I've got Venus and Leo, and I'm dealing a lot right now with a lot of grief and sadness around the fact that the two souls that came through me no longer connect with me. And and like with one's having a baby and I'm not involved, and this holiday season, the fact that that's time to come together with people you love, people you care about, and I'm disconnected. So that will be probably a very powerful moment in all this whole the last 4 to 6 weeks of the season between Thanksgiving and the New Year, to really to kind of reflect and do some deeper work as it comes up, because I feel it's stirring, right? Everything's stirring inside.
So rejoice. Rejoice that they're here on earth and they're bringing another soul on earth. And
absolutely.
And I think sometimes with love, sometimes if you can't love someone in close proximity, we still can love from a distance. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Oh, sis, after that, what's the next thing to look upon?
I'll say that, the next one that I have written here is the new moon in Capricorn, which is on December 31st. It's towards the end of the year. That being said, I wouldn't say that nothing's going to happen in between those days. Winter solstice is, of course, a very important time, right? December 21st. 20th, 21st, 22nd, those dates before Christmas are important times, because it's in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a time to really go within and just be. It's winter, right? It's a different case with where I'm living right here in the equator, but I'm still honoring the fact that it's a very pivotal time of the year every year to reconnect to your roots, to reconnect to family. In my Chinese tradition, we have a winter solstice festival where we come back as family for a family reunion to just be, right? We don't have to like each other. We don't have to trigger each other. We just be in presence. And then we celebrate with some food and just to honor that no matter how, and this is why it's, it's the beginning of Capricorn season, right? It's really reconnecting back to our traditions, our generations, to our mentors, teachers, parents that made sacrifices before us, so that we as a newer generation could be who we are and how we are serving in the world. So that's a time of remembrance. I would like to call it that way.
And I think that's important too, especially in this energy of rejoice, and like we're talking about celebrating versus the opposite, which we have both, right? But like you're saying earlier, I mean, we can rejoice in the fact that things are moving, that are coming up for us, and the grief or the maybe the fear or anxiety or whatever people are moving through, because December is a time, especially on the holidays, when a lot of mental health stuff starts arising, because as you laugh, like, yeah, it's an intense time, right? I mean, and I look back too, and I think about like the people that, it not only stems from where people are at now, but like how were they raised those first 7 years? What happened around these seasons? Because, man, a lot of people, it's an intense time frame for sure. And so rejoicing in the fact that, like we're saying, you're here right now, and how did you get to this moment through all of the stuff that all of us go through? Because no one's journey's easy or simple, but it's a celebratory time to rejoice in where you're at.
Yeah, but I also say something during this time, is to review the whole year. Like, what have you done? How far have you come? Right? Otherwise, if there's no pause moment, we're only just gonna be moving and moving and moving, and we don't know if we are moving upwards or downwards, or we are running around in circles, thinking that we are moving forward when we are not. So the moment of reflection during those days are important. And I truly believe that when someone can integrate their family history into who they are, when they can own the shadows of from their family history, then it's very less likely we will feel the resistance when fear comes up, because we have already owned it. So it's a great time for healing, for sure, so that when we enter 2025, we can truly embrace more challenges, more exciting journeys that is coming, despite what's going on the political, economical, global scale, kind of like issues or crisis, if you want to put it that way.
Which I feel are just a reflection of what we are all going through, right?
Yep.
It really is. I mean, that's the thing too. People think about, like, especially the election we just went through, and the division and the different sides. It was like, okay, but we're all looking at each other. What I don't like in you, I have in me, and vice versa. And so it's, being able to really reflect upon it, like Chiron's saying, and and rejoice in the fact that, okay, well, where am I at in my journey? Even if I'm having all these shadow pieces come up. And for myself, understanding this is, I think, a challenge sometimes. It's that thing where they say, sometimes it's easier to not know anything.
Ignorance is
Because
bliss.
ignorance is bliss, seriously, because I know people, and they're going through stuff, and I'm like, wow, and it's just where they're at, and I honor it. But it's like, man, it could be, it's just interesting that people have just no clue about some of the things they're moving through, and some of the things that are surfacing for them, and how to get through it in a gentler way. But I guess, that's also their journey, right? For where their soul's at this moment. So.
Yeah, and it's good to put a reminder, because Mercury is in Sagittarius, and people can be very righteous about their opinions and beliefs during this time. But the fact that, because it's retrograding and it's moving forward again, it's gonna cross Saturn like a square 3 times during the whole month, right? And Saturn is really like, be careful what you're saying. And in the sign of Pisces, it's like, the call is like, follow the truth, follow natural law, follow the universal law, and not be caught up by the noise.
Right.
And it's interesting that, right before winter solstice happened during December 21st, I think December 18, right? It was when Sun is squaring Neptune. And I feel like there can be a lot of reconciliation happening, despite, the difference of opinion and beliefs and judgments. This is not just in the United States, by the way. It's all over the world, because astrology is impacting all of us in different ways. So I really, now that we know this energy is coming, how about we, instead of like needing to prove ourselves a point, how about we listen, right? And listen more and listen deeper. Because the fact that we feel like we need to prove a point shows how that it might not be the truth. It's just a belief. Because truth
Right.
needs no proving. And
Mm.
Sun square Neptune, that's the call to like, hey, why don't you quiet down, let go, so that the truth can emerge from within.
Oh, I love that so much. And that resonates with me because I'm all about, I mean, the feeling of it. So that's where I always start with everything is, okay, so how does that feel to me? Oh boy, that feels intense. Or, oh, I'm feeling more love, or so it really, for myself, stems from that gut feeling, or that inner, wisdom that I have. And everyone's got different variations of that, right? And I think that's why we like to share these insights, and how does it resonate for you individually out there, listeners, as well as, the energy and then the astrology. And if you don't even quite understand a lot about it, it's just that feeling. So as Chiron's talking about these things, how does it feel to you?
Mhm.
Ooh, that feels like truth, or ooh, I don't really resonate with that. And that's totally cool, right, Chiron?
Yeah, completely, right? I think, you know, the thing is that when we are ready to listen, we will hear something. When we are ready to see, we will see something, right? Um, and we need to really go out of our way from the whole method of like this is right and this is wrong, and that can only be these two ways. And in fact, I'll encourage anybody who's listening to this is to like, hey, I got this information from here, I got this information from there. Now, how do I feel about it, and what's my truth? Like, because it doesn't matter what Teresa say, it doesn't matter what Chiron say, it doesn't matter what anybody say. What matters is what you say to your life. And I think that is the first step to reclaim power in terms of like how we make choices in life and how we move through. And it doesn't need proving, right? We don't need proofs to we don't need confirmation from anybody or permission from anybody to believe things in a certain way, even if it's wrong objectively, factually, right? Because eventually there's a natural realignment and correction when you realize that, okay, I know I'm attached to this belief, but now I see that it's not working. Let me change it.
Exactly.
Right? So nature is foolproof. So we don't have to go out there and be a police and, hey, this belief is wrong, that belief is wrong. You should do this. Nature can do it for you, for them,
Right.
or
Mhm.
anybody. So we just need to, get stop being so attached about needing to prove ourselves. Because the thing is that there's a quote that says that we judge what we attract. We attract what we judge until we stop judging what we attract.
Well said. Yeah, that's a good one.
Great one. So
Great
this is
one.
a great time to really just let go, because seriously, we have better things to do in life,
Right.
and to celebrate our gifts and to bring it out and be in place of service. Again, going back to the earlier quote, right? We create something new so that it makes the old obsolete.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to end this episode, and rejoice and celebrate that, where, hey, we're making things obsolete so we can move forward into the new, and celebrating where you're at. So that's a beautiful thing, right, Chiron?
Completely, yeah. And of course, moving forward, I really do encourage everybody to put their seatbelts on, because when 2025 hits, um it's a roller coaster. So this is a really great time to really rest when you make that choice.
I like that choice, and I'm going there. So for sure. So just wanted to thank you all out there in the ethers, listening or watching on YouTube, and great thanks, and a Thanksgiving also for Chiron for showing up again this month, and being a beautiful guest on the podcast. And just want to reflect a couple things also, like, if you're interested in finding out more about your astrology, you can connect with Chiron. He's also got some amazing events that he's doing right now. His 10X program. He's got his Heart Quest. Are you still doing that one, or just the 10X?
Heart Quest is the 10x programs.
It's combined. I know it kind of like shifts a bit. It's combined,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It is the same thing. It's just that the name of the program is called Heart Quest. The results that you get is 10x health, wealth, and impact.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That's the tagline. Love it so much. So, and I'll have his information in the show notes. You can connect with him. And again, the PDF for the calendar, you can actually get a physical, calendar to write on as far as what the insights were from this episode. It's in the show notes. And I'm excited to, dive into 2025 with you in a few weeks and see what's coming up next, Chiron.
Yeah, I'm so excited for 2025. And I just want to say one last thing to everybody listening to this is that thank you for tuning in always. And thank you for supporting the space, because without you guys, things wouldn't run, right? And giving energy to something, taking time to listening, to all of this information in your own time, in the most private places. Maybe you're running, maybe you're out there walking, maybe you're cleaning the house, maybe you're cooking. I truly appreciate that. And what I hope is that, that people can draw insights, their own insight, their own inner wisdom as you guys listen to us, and really shift your life profoundly. And the thing with insights is that when it shows, we got to act upon it right away. Otherwise, it's just another beautiful experience.
I love that so much. And that's a great place to end because, yes, hello.
Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude. And so until next time, the next perfect time, remember that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.